Welcome, everyone. It is Tuesday. You know what? I think I just counted quickly. This may very well be our 34th episode of the Get to Know Her show. Isn't that amazing? I'm so excited. All these incredible women. And today, oh my gosh, today you guys are going to meet Teresa Baerg. I love Teresa. Teresa is an amazing writer. She's a storyteller. She has so much good energy. You will just fall off your seat. And you know what I love about her? She has this internal motivation. There is like a constant fire in her belly to do more, do better than she did the last time, keep trying, keep going. She's really quite something. And, you know, I think this is the time we need Teresa here because going into fall, I know it's beautiful today. It's like summer weather the last couple of days, but talking to someone like Teresa is going to help us all prepare for the winter ahead. I can't wait to dive into this conversation with her. But before I do that, I'm sure you guys have already looked at my beautiful clothes I have on today from our good friend Brenda Bedome. So today I am wearing a lovely long jacket from her. Do you see that? Isn't that great? And very gorgeous with a nice layered top and, of course, her black pants. Can't live without Brenda's black pants. You know what I love about her clothes? I've said this before, but they're so comfortable. And I know we're doing Zoom. We're not really seeing people like we used to. So feeling like you're in your pajamas all day, that's one thing. But actually being in pajamas all day, I think that can be not so good for the mental health. Yesterday, I had one of those days where I got up, I did my workout, I put my workout clothes on, and like that's what I wore all day long. And that's not something we want to do every day. We want to feel good. We want to feel pretty. We want to feel like we can conquer the world, even if it is behind a screen. It's okay. So if you need a little pick-me-up and you need some comfy clothes that make you feel amazing, go to brendabedome.com, and I will put her link here under this video. And just a little reminder, if you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe to our channel. We would love to have you. You guys, let's not wait any longer. Let's bring on the amazing Teresa Baerg to the Get to Know Her show. Here she comes. Oh, Teresa.
Hey, Monica.
You look magnificent, as usual.
That was quite the introduction.
Well, it's quite true.
Put my coffee back on.
It was such a good introduction. Your poppy flew off.
I know. I got so excited. It's a lot to live up to.
Well, it's easy. It comes easily for you. I'm so happy you're here, Teresa.
I am too.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Great. You're so welcome. You know what I was trying to think about, and maybe you remember, I'm trying to go back to when you and I first met. Mm-hmm. And who introduced us and how did all of that happen? I
came to take your picture.
Okay, that's how it happened. Mm-hmm. And did you come to the studio or was it at Joelle's?
No, we were at an event. It was the prom dress event. Do you remember that?
Yes. Okay, because in my head, in my mind, I knew it had an association with Joelle, but I couldn't remember you actually being with me in the store when I'd done a trunk show. That's where, okay.
Yeah, so you were part of getting grads glammed up so they could come and take advantage of like a free prom outfit that was donated for people who couldn't afford it.
Yes.
And you had your table there with the jewels that you were helping the students with. And I was walking around trying to cover this event, trying to get some good photos. You looked really nice and approachable. I was still a newbie. I didn't really know what I was doing. And I just came and said hi and took your photo. And I don't know, we just sort of connected after that. I covered a few more of your events. Yeah. And we stayed in touch. And
well, I do remember that because I remember you sharing with me how sometimes it was really difficult to approach people for photos. And I was like, hey man, anytime. And I think I maybe stalked you after, like, I'm going to be here. You want to take a picture?
Possible.
Going through the Tim Hortons drive-thru. You want to take a picture?
Yeah. And I would always have like an easy person to like take a photo of who would be like really nice to me.
Yeah.
No, that
Oh,
definitely got easier, so that's good.
yeah. Oh no, that's so great.
Yeah.
Teresa, I want to talk to you about so many things. Like I don't even know where to start, but the starting point is always on the Get to Know Her show because I think this is how we really get to know the woman who came to be. Is what did little Teresa want to be when she grew up?
So I knew you were going to ask me that. And I actually have my old school days book. I actually don't have my old one because it was burned in a fire, but I
Oh,
copied everything out of it before I got rid of it. Like you could still read it. It wasn't completely destroyed, and I copied into a different book. And I just went back and looked through it. And you could, like in elementary school, you could check off the box what you wanted to be. So most years I checked off teacher, which I never really wanted to be, but I didn't really know what else to check. I was going to be an engineer. That wasn't my thing. Or an artist or a dancer. Or I didn't even police officer. I think I checked off police officer one year, which is funny. A couple times I did check off nurse, which is like the last thing I probably could ever have been. And I'm so glad there are people who want to do that. And one year I did check off writer. And then in high school, you had to write your ambition. It got serious. And for the first few years of high school, it was blank. Like, I guess I didn't have an ambition. But by grade 11, I wrote in journalist. So grade 11 and 12.
you did?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wanted to be a broadcast journalist. So yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I had it a little bit figured out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. And then from there, Teresa, then you went to university, I guess, or to college, or
yeah,
did you
I went to
go
college and got married, and life kind of went in a bunch of different directions. And I ended up getting my degree, but we moved around a lot in our early days. And so I did a very piecemeal degree. And I ended up with a Bachelor of Fine Arts in theater. And after that, I decided I wanted to do more school because I love being a student. And I explored like doing a master's. And finally, I'm like, I guess I should just be a teacher after all, because I'd kind of given up on the whole journalism dream. And and then I got pregnant with my first. And I was really glad because I didn't have to like make another decision. And I really didn't want to be a teacher. That was not my calling.
Yeah. It was just a checkbox on a.
That's right. It wouldn't have been the best thing for me. And then, years later, once my youngest was in grade 1 or 2, I went back to school. I went back to Sheridan and did a post-grad in corporate communications. And so it's a little bit of a divergent path from journalism, but now it's all kind of full circle. I'm doing a little bit of everything. But I get writing and all kinds of stuff in there.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. So tell me, when you were a little girl, tell me a little bit about your mom and dad and how they sort of, what did they do for a living and what was their work ethic like?
Yeah. So I grew up in the country out in BC, and on 5 acres, we had a Christmas tree farm. We sold Christmas trees every December. My dad was an electrician. He was often unemployed. And my mom was a hairdresser by trade, but she didn't do that when I was growing up. But when I was a little bit older, we converted our garage into a little hair salon, and like little old ladies would come and get their hair done. And my mom would give me perms, and which is weird because this is natural, and I didn't really, maybe it was not curly back then. I had a little sister, and we just grew up like outside with the dogs and the cats and the chickens and the Christmas trees and the trails, and played outside a lot. It was like, it was pretty sweet and innocent. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. That's amazing. And I guess your dad, being an electrician, that was probably a pretty impressive garage your mom had going on there for her hair salon.
Perhaps. I don't really remember.
Do you remember if she had those, the hair dryers with the dome?
Yeah, we did. Yeah. Remember this like vinyl lime green salon chair, the ones that like go up and down. That was cool. We loved playing in that. Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
So, how many siblings do you have, Teresa?
Just an older sister.
An older sister. Okay. Yeah. So it was the 2 girls. Nice.
Yeah.
Wow. That's great.
There you have it.
Yeah. So tell us about your mama, because I'd love for you to share all about your mom today.
Sure. Yeah. So She was sick sadly, that's where I start. She was sick for a lot of my childhood. And obviously, she passed away when I was 13. She was 44. And so she actually struggled with, and this is not something I learned until much later in life, that she struggled with mental illness for a lot of her life since she was a teenager, and had some pretty serious experiences with mental illness. But that was never something that was talked about or that I was really even aware of. I remember situations in my childhood that were unusual, but I never knew why. Nobody ever explained that. And so she was diagnosed with cancer when I was probably about 9. She would have been 39. And then just over the next sort of 4.5, 5 years, she was sick and better and sick and better. And then, she died when she was 44. So,
jeez.
Yeah.
And how, where we are. Yeah. And what was that like for you as a 13-year-old little girl? I mean, there's a lot going on for you at that age where you really need your mom. I mean, we always need our moms, but
yeah. I guess, I don't know if blindsided is the right word, because it's not like she hadn't been sick. I just told you she was sick for all those years, but I didn't know, because she would get better. And you're 13, like it's like you're old enough to understand, but no one ever sat and explained that to me. So that's something I've always struggled with, is that, I just didn't know it was going to happen, wasn't ready, didn't know, there was like kind of no final words or acknowledgement. That's actually stayed with me forever. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So a couple of years ago, a big anniversary happened.
Actually 3. Yeah, there was 3 that year.
Right.
So
that was 2018.
2018.
Okay.
So the beginning of 2018 was going to be the year that had been 30 years since she died. And it would also be the year that my daughter outlived me having a mother.
Right.
So she was the same age, so she would have had a mother longer than I did. Now all my kids have, so that's really awesome. And then that December, I outlived my mom. So the things that people do who go through things like this that maybe other people don't have to think about is you count down days. And so I knew to the day in December when I would wake up the next morning and be older than my mom ever was. So some people think that's morbid or but it helps you process things. Yeah. So that morning I just went out and I went down to the lake, as I often do. Actually, that's funny. It's kind of a full circle thing that happened this weekend, but I ran and I ran and I ran and I just cried and laughed. And I don't know, it was something I needed to do. So ever since then, I've just focused on being as healthy as I can and soaking up every moment of joy and life and trying to live 2 lives, right? My own and one for her, because she never got to experience any of this. She never even got to 45. I'm already 46. What a gift. So.
Yeah. And this is what I'm talking about with you, your attitude. I mean, with all of this trauma and all of the heartache that comes along with something like this, it's such a gift what you've done. You've continued on with your mother's legacy and you've looked at your life as, oh my God, I get to, and I'm going to the max, because, I go on your Instagram, you're either standing on your head, you're running a marathon, you're on your bike, but you're really, really joyful and you're doing these things. And I always get this sense whenever I see you on there, Teresa, I feel like you're doing it with your mom, can really feel her energy with you. And that's so beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's what I try to do. I didn't always feel that way. Like I said, it's a relatively new understanding, I suppose. I really, really struggled when I turned 39 because that's how old she was when basically got her death sentence. So I didn't do very well. That was the year I was in school as well. So that was a challenging time. And the next few years, I just tried to, I don't know, like personal growth and reading and learning and trying to figure out how to manage all of this. And then 40 did actually become a bit more of a celebration, because it was, again, like, not, oh crap, I'm getting older, but like, oh wow, I'm getting older. This is awesome.
Yeah.
Right. So I think over the next few years, like, then I learned to swim. I'm like, why not? Like, why not? Let's go
So
do a triathlon. Like,
wow. So you weren't a swimmer before that?
No, I could get across the pool. I love the water. I just didn't know how to swim a length. I wasn't very good at putting my face in the water, because I hate water in my eyes and water at my nose and water in my mouth. And, so I joined a triathlon club with my kids, and they had no idea how remedial I was. But they accepted me, and then I spent several sessions like blowing bubbles in the shallow end. I think people were a little bit surprised. And then I could do it. And then, it took a while. Like, I could do 10% of the workout, and then I could, I remember got home one time, and I told my husband, I'm like, I did half the workout, and I didn't inhale the pool. I was very excited. And then, then eventually I could do everything. I'm not very fast yet, but it's not really the point. No, it still amazes me that I can do it. Like, it's such a thing that people know how to do.
Well, and it's great. I mean, to learn how to swim over 40, a lot of people have this phobia of water, and they never do it. And so that's great.
I was just the non-swimming member of the family. Like, everybody was competitive swimmers. And I'm like, I guess what am I going to do? Go to the local pool and take lessons with the 6-year-olds? Like, I kind of thought that was my only option. One of them could have taught me in the backyard, but it just never occurred to me. So that was a big deal for me.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty empowering.
Yeah, very much so. That's I didn't know that about you, Teresa. That is one thing I did not know. What the heck?
Oh, I might have more surprises. Just watch what you ask for.
Yeah. So Teresa, you are also a big supporter of children who are grieving. Who have also lost their parents. You play a big role over at the Lighthouse in Oakville. Tell us about that, and sort of how you came into that. And I mean, I know this story. I was going to say, I was going to pretend like I don't know. Am I doing a good job?
Definitely. There's no way you can pretend on this one, because you were the thing. So this was back to the beginning of 2018. Yeah. The story was, I think it was January. I had gone for a run on a beautiful snowy night. It was just like this magical night. The snow was soft, and it was fresh, and it was cool. And I just my mind just, your mind starts going. And I find running and biking, you can be creative. I always call it, I write in my head. So I write a blog, or I just write something that I want to write later. I don't always write it down, but I'm always writing.
Can I ask you a question about that?
Yeah.
When that happens, because I've started doing this thing now where I'll be working all day, and then I'm so jammed up, I've got no more creativity. So then I'm like, I got to go on the bike, even 15, 20 minutes. And it gives me this gift of time, and I get all these ideas in my head, but it's almost like this ball is in there, and then it just spews out onto the paper. But do you actually see the words and everything, how? I want to know. I mean, it's a little bit abstract from a conversation.
It is a little. Yeah. No, I don't see the words so much as I just think them. I think sentences. I think images. And I don't always write it down. Some things have been lost forever, but I do just, it helps me process things. And so
that's amazing. Okay. So we're back to the beautiful snowy night.
Yeah. I guess I was thinking about my mom or just whatever. And all of these, those 3 anniversaries that I had mentioned. And I came back and I had a hot bath. And then all of a sudden I'm like, I need to do something to commemorate this, or to I don't know if it was celebrate or commemorate or immortalize, big words. I just needed to do something that captured all of that. It was just too much to let go. And I'm like, okay, so why don't I do a fundraiser? because like, what else do you do? And I've never done any fundraising, and I didn't really want to, but I thought if I could just raise some money, maybe give that to somebody who is going through some sort of a struggle, it would be a way of just making someone else's life better. And then I thought, like, I want a cancer charity. Like, I didn't want the focus to be on that. So, but I had no clue. I'm like, should I just ask everybody I know for like $44 because my mom was 44, or for like $30 because it was, 30 or $60. I didn't know. But what I did know is that my friend Monica of Glam Jewels did fundraisers. And I'm like, I think I'm still sitting in the bath, and I don't think I had my phone with me. I need to email her. I'm just going to send her an email and just see what she says. And then I sort of like, no, I don't want to do that. Like, this is probably actually not a very good idea. Because sometimes you don't trust your own ideas. You just don't know. You haven't tested it yet, right? So I'm like, well, I'll just send her an email. And if it's not a good idea and we can't make anything happen, then
I'll just tell you. I'll say, Teresa, terrible idea.
Yeah. So I don't know if it was that night or the next morning or whatever, I emailed you and just said, I have this idea and I want to raise some money, and what do you suggest? And of course, we came up with the bracelet idea, which sort of materialized over time.
But I also, beautiful.
I can't tell.
I know it's so hard.
I actually don't want to show it yet. So I still didn't know what I was going to do with it. So I happened to mention it to a friend a few weeks later. We were out for drinks and I said, yeah, I want to like support someone. Like, do you know, she's a teacher and I guess had connections. And she's like, have you heard of the Lighthouse? And I'm like, actually, no, I haven't. Tell me more. And she said it was this place where people who've lost a loved one can go and get supports and stuff. So I did some research on it. I probably was bawling by the time I got through the website, and I'm like, this is it. This is exactly who I need to support. So I reached out to them. Another scary thing. It was much scarier than reaching out to you, and said, hey, I want to do a project to support you. This is my story. I was definitely crying on that phone call because these people are so nice. It was, I don't know.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I think I cry more now than I ever used to. So, but like they're healing tears. It's a good thing. And I went in and I met with them. And they told me about what they do and how they support. So it's called Lighthouse for Grieving Children. And they support people who've lost a very close loved one. Like, often it's a parent. So, the kids have lost a parent. Sometimes it's a sibling. It's peer support. It's not like counseling services, but they do have trained people and staff, and they also have volunteers. And they help kids like me, which I had nothing. Like, when my mom was gone, there was no counselors or no programs or anything. Like, you just, you go to the funeral and you go back to school and you move on. And I don't even remember anything from my school. Like, maybe there was something, but I don't remember somebody sitting me down or talking to me. You just like, get back to life, because that's what you do. So it's pretty sad. Wow. So the Lighthouse just provides support. So these kids can come and be in a group with their peers, people who are in a similar age and stage. They even have separate groups for depending, like if it was a really traumatic or sudden death or violence or something, that can be a different support group than someone who's maybe lost a parent to cancer or something, because those are like really different ways of processing and understanding grief. Yeah. So, the kids can come and they talk about the grief, and there's activities like based on the age, like the little ones will play like in the tactile tables, like those sand tables or rice tables. And there's actually like, they showed me all this. There's like a little like mini coffin or like, which sounds kind of crazy. Wow. But these are things that kids that age have to deal with. And so they learn to like make it not so scary. And then they can talk about it, or they color a picture, how they're feeling. Then there's the teens, like they can do activities. Nobody's forced to talk, but it's just sitting around in a circle. And the teens will say things like, I can come here, I can be myself, I can let this all out. And then when I go back to school and my friends, I feel happy. So it's called grief puddles, which I find fascinating because, and adults don't really do this, but kids can go in and out of grief puddles. They can go into their puddle and be grieving, and then they can jump right back out again and, carry on as normal. So you think maybe they're not actually struggling, but if they have kind of this puddle to jump into and grieve with other people and process, then you can jump right out and sort of be okay.
Oh, Teresa, I could cry. That is amazing.
Okay. I'll join you.
Yeah, I know. Okay. Which we've done before. Now we're going to do it virtually.
Yeah.
So going through all of this with Lighthouse and organizing this fundraiser, I want to know if the 13-year-old Teresa also benefited.
Yeah. So they say, be who you needed when you were younger. So when I was able to put this project together, so again, the bracelet, I don't know which way this is supposed to go.
I know.
So Melissa created a beautiful bracelet. It's purple, for my mom's favorite color. And then she somehow sourced this gorgeous lighthouse charm. Yay. And so I created a Facebook page and let everyone I know about the project. And I sold the bracelets and set a crazy goal of $5,000, which I got, which is amazing, and gave that money to the Lighthouse. And then as a result, I've just stayed involved with them, like with some of their different events and programs, and helping out here and there where I can. And just like trying to raise awareness, right? Like, because not everybody knows about it, or you don't think you actually need the Lighthouse. Like most people go through life and you don't really need that. But then when you do, like you need it. And there's not a lot out there like that. So I guess that became a little bit of my purpose with that, beyond $5,000, which is, a drop in the bucket for the amount of fundraising a charity would need to do. But it was still it was my gift. So I called the project Kathy's Lighthouse Legacy. And the Facebook page still exists. And I don't post very often, but every once in a while I try to share something. And the way it's healed me is by talking to people at the Lighthouse and just their compassion and their care. And grief is just a normal, and dying is a normal thing to talk about there, which it isn't really in real life. You don't want to just start every conversation with, it can be people get uncomfortable, and that's okay. Not everybody's gone through that. I think it's helped heal the stories that came out from the bracelets, of people who bought one. Sometimes it was the friends and family, but I had some strangers that who were strangers to me who found out about it and shared a story with me. Somebody out east had lost her father. She saw the bracelet when you did a segment on CHCH, and she's able to connect with me and said, "This is so powerful to me. My father just died. He was out east, and things of the sea are really special." So the Lighthouse just spoke to her. Wow. So we had this email conversation, never talked to her again, but it was so powerful. There was, my aunt's friends out in Winnipeg or wherever they live, Saskatchewan, I'm sorry. There was some really cool connection there with some kids who just lost their parent, and she bought some bracelets, and I got to hear their stories, and it turns out their mom's name was Kathy. And so there's just been some really, really, people have shared with me, and then it's so healing because you can sort of encourage and help them. And then that helps you right back. So I feel like there's this ongoing healing that happens, even just to be able to talk about this. There were no words. We didn't talk about this when I was younger.
No kidding.
In my 20s, I just moved on. Hey, I was the girl whose mom died. No, I don't have a mom. It was just matter of fact. The grieving kind of just you shove everything down and you just carry on. And then every once in a while, out of the blue, you'll be driving down the road, there's no connection, there's no special date, and suddenly you're just bawling, and it's just something to do.
Yeah, definitely. Wow, Teresa. And so those waves of grief, did you have that since you were a kid, since you lost your mom, or is this something that now, because you're working through it yourself, those waves are coming more and more, where you just, like you said, those healing tears come, and you're processing maybe something that you didn't even know how to process when you were younger.
Definitely. Yeah. I think as a teen, it's all just fresh grief, and you're sorry, can I swear on the show? No, I'm not going to swear.
Sure.
What the heck is going on in my life? It was kind of my own little grief puddle, I guess, where, I could cry at home or whatever. It sounds like I had a happy teenager experience. I wasn't, I was able to enjoy those years, but there were definitely times that were hard. And then, yeah, like I said, 20s and 30s, I don't think I just kind of like pushed that all aside, and I didn't really process anything. And it was like, truly, when I turned 39, I started to like read some books and like understand more about how you change, like something called ACEs, which are adverse childhood experiences. Mm-hmm. And like that actually changed the wiring of your brain for your life. And people can have really, if you have a lot of those adverse childhood experiences, like people struggle with like mental illness and drug addictions and all kinds of like diseases. And it's actually, there's a lot of research on it, and it's powerful stuff because we just don't know enough about it. So just trying to understand, like, why am I the way I am? Like there's a reason for this, and I shouldn't be, down on myself because some of that stuff was wired, like the cortisol, that like your brain changes. Like there's science that your brain changes when you experience trauma and grief when you're young. And, but I also don't see that as, oh, I'm some victim. Mm-hmm. And I can use that as an excuse to be a horrible person or to not grow or heal. But I didn't know that or think about that till like 39 and into my 40s. And I just wanted to know more about this. Like there's tons of books written on it. Like there's so much information out there, but you have to, it doesn't come to you. Nobody's like, going to do that for you. But there's also something I learned about more recently too, called, what is it? It's not the ACEs. It's the benevolent. It's the BCEs, okay. Benevolent childhood experiences, and people who have adverse childhood experiences and then have enough of a benevolent childhood experience where someone cares for you or helps you in a really powerful way, like that can actually change outcomes like dramatically. So yeah, I did actually have one camp counselor one summer. Actually, I think it was that same summer my mom died, who I would pinpoint as being my benevolent childhood experience. And I reconnected with her last summer. I couldn't remember her name. That was like, that's a whole nother podcast.
Oh my God.
It was really cool. And I thanked her. Like, it was like a window of time. Like it was a week that summer. And I think I actually maybe had her for another week, another summer, but she sat with me and talked with me. And
what a gift.
She's in like, I know, she's a counselor now. Like that was obviously her calling.
Wow. Oh my gosh, Teresa.
Yeah.
You want to know what I love about your story so much? Is that I remember the day, I mean, I love a lot of things, but personally, I remember the day you came in here and you were like, okay, I have this idea and it's kind of crazy and I'm not sure. And there were a lot of doubts around it. Mm-hmm. And you went through with it anyway, because I mean, I don't blame you for having a lot of doubts about it. You are exposing the most vulnerable part of yourself to the world. And so, God, girl, like I am so proud of you, and I admire your bravery so much, because that was a tough thing you did. And I mean, bracelets aside, who cares about that? What I think is so amazing is that you just kept moving forward. And now, I mean, you're in it. You are a very important part of the Lighthouse. You're an advocate for grieving children. You are so many things today because you were brave enough to be vulnerable. And bravo, man.
Monica.
It's so true. There is always a bigger picture. Anytime somebody wants to do something and they're hesitating, I think your story is such a great example of don't hesitate, because people need you. Everyone is on this earth for a freaking reason, and we all have magic and we all have something to share. And
what if it is a good idea? Like what if it actually was and I didn't do it?
Yeah. What if you had buried that and said, well, that's my story. Nobody's going to care about that.
Yeah, nobody can relate, or they don't need that.
Yeah.
They don't need to,
and even you talking about other people sharing their story with you, I think that is a great thing for everyone to take note of. When someone shares their story with you, I mean, I light up when people tell me their stories. I think it's so amazing and so inspiring. And
Yeah.
anyone who's holding back from not sharing, you don't have to be famous to share a story.
Yeah, it heals you. It heals the person you're with. I don't know, like, and just to have somebody sit and listen. Do you know, it was like maybe 3 years ago, for the first time in my entire life, I was sharing this with somebody, and she said, "That's really shitty what happened to you." And I'm like,
Wow.
yeah. Why has nobody ever just acknowledged that? Like, quit saying, she's in a better place, or like just move on, or just like don't say anything, but like just acknowledge that, like, that's really, really shitty. Like, yeah.
Yeah. And Teresa, that's, you and I and our friendship, like, I mean, really, our friendship has grown so much since the Lighthouse project and everything. But you're going through all of this, and you also gave me that, because you said to me, it must be so hard now. I know how close you were to your dad, and you must miss him so much. And I was like, why are we talking about that? Like, you lost your mom when you were 13. Mm-hmm. I had my dad till I was 43. Like, we can't compare. We can't. But you've been so generous with that. Like, you've always like acknowledged my grief, and you've, even this weekend I was having, like, I had one of those moments where it was like, oh my God, did he just die yesterday? Like, what the hell just happened? Right. And I remember my dad's visitation, all these people coming and saying the most beautiful things. And one woman looked at me and said, I won't say the word, but she said, "Is this an effing nightmare?" And I was like, Thank you so much.
Just call it what it is. Don't, like, I mean,
yes.
it's so hard, and I can't fault people. I don't ever want to do that. I don't want to judge. It's so hard. It's so hard to be with people who are in pain, and like, you don't know what to say. And sometimes you just can be like, that's enough to say, this sucks. I'm here. Like, sit quietly.
Yeah.
Like, just be there and acknowledge it. Like, be in the pain. It's okay to like feel pain and feel awkward and stuff, but you can't say anything to make it better. But when you say something like that, it just kind of takes you out of that space and it's like, yeah, this is actually really terrible.
Yeah.
And you don't stay there forever in that sort of darker place. Hopefully. There's a book that I just got. It's like the 6 stage of grieving. I feel like I'm selling all the books today. It's finding meaning. So, a lot of people, you search for meaning, like, why did she die? Like, what is this reason? Like, one day I'm just going to know, like, there was a reason. And then I'll be like, great, like this all makes sense now. But that actually doesn't happen at all. Like, it never makes sense. But what you can do with it is like, you have to accept it, because it's never going to change. But you can find meaning, and that's kind of the hard part. And that's where I feel like working with you on the bracelets. Like, I just realized this recently, because I got the book and I was a few pages in, bawling yet again, and into my breakfast. And
makes the cereal taste so much better, doesn't it?
Yeah. And realizing that, like, this is the meaning. So it never makes the death or the loss better, but you can find meaning. And it's like this, like, I'm like a few pages in, because I haven't got back to it since, because I gotta be in the right space.
Yeah.
Because it's like, it's deep, and it's like work.
Right.
But I think it's going to be really good to understand a bit. I mean, maybe I don't need the book. Maybe I've kind of found my meaning or whatever, but I think it's trying to understand that.
I like that you brought that up, because that is, I had a couple people say that to me. One day you'll know why your dad died when he did, and the meaning, and and I still can't reconcile with that. I'm like, okay, well, lots of things have happened that maybe wouldn't have happened if he was still here, but would I trade that for him? No. Right? Like, so I'd be interested to read that book as well.
Yeah,
like, because it's good to get a different perspective. And Teresa, I'm so grateful that you've been so open to talk about this today because, even though we're having this lovely sunny weather right now, this is typically a time of year where a lot of people have lost loved ones. People pass on. And sometimes I think too, when it's been years and years, we sometimes don't say anything anymore because we think, well, that, they lost their parent 25 years ago. Like, why am I going to, but they, it's like that whole thing about time is, it being linear. When you've lost someone, no, like
it's not.
No, it's not.
I'm looking at my phone. I have a quote that I read.
While you're looking at that,
I got it.
You got the quote. I just want to say you have a shout out here from your neighbor, Pauline.
Oh,
you
hi,
are an
Pauline.
amazing, supportive friend and neighbor, Teresa.
There. She's right beside me. I was just thinking of her actually as I was talking about this.
And Nancy McMillan as well says, hello,
hi,
beautiful
Nancy.
ladies. Yeah. So nice.
That's so sweet. Oh, that's neat.
Yeah.
So
yes.
This quote, it says, grief is really just love. It's all the love you want to give but cannot. All of that unspent love gathers up in the corners of your eyes, the lump in your throat, in that hollow part of your chest. Grief is just love with no place to go. But I actually don't totally agree with this. I need to write my own, because grief is love for sure, but grief is not just love with no place to go. For me, it was the opposite. I didn't grow up wanting to love my mom. I grew up wanting to be loved by my mom. So grief was not my love with no place to go. It was me feeling like I missed out on all this stuff.
Oh God.
Yeah. So that's like that's, I think, as an adult, that's our love with no place to go. But as a kid, it's quite the opposite, because you're not aware of loving people so much when you're a kid or a teen, right? Like, you don't feel like you need to love someone and now you can't love them. At least in my experience. That could be different for other people. But I just remember reading this quote thinking, no. That's it feels selfish, but as a teen, that's what you need. You need that unconditional love. And if you are missing that from the person who's supposed to be giving it to you the most, that's grief.
Yeah, that's grief. Wow.
Boom.
Yeah, that's heavy.
Are your shows always this heavy?
I love this show right now.
Bringing it down.
I know you just gave me a lot to think about too. Yeah. Yeah, it's true. God. And this is the thing, it's so funny, when you're a kid and you think about growing up, and I can't wait to be an adult and be like all the adults, and you look up to the adults, and the older you get, I don't know about you, but I'm like, am I ever going to be over 13 years old? Like, seriously? When I think about my dad, I'm not thinking like, oh yes, I'd like to have an adult conversation with my father about the stock market. No, I'm thinking about sitting on his lap and playing with his hair and,
you kind of go back,
goofing around, and and even not even going back. Like, I was doing that stuff to him in my 40s. He'd go, get the hell off my lap, Jesus.
It's actually a funny, not funny phenomenon, and I've never figured out. I kind of reconciled it. So I was 13 when she died. So it's like I've stayed 13 my whole life. So I never feel like I got past that. But on the other hand, as soon as she was gone, I left 13 behind forever and became an adult, because now it was like, for a few years there, I was like, I'd come home from school and cook dinner. like who wants to do that when you're that age, right? So I feel like in some ways I stayed that 13-year-old, and then other ways I'm like, I never got to be that again, because it's just the weight of the world and the responsibilities. And I mean, again, don't get me wrong, like my high school years were pretty good, for the most part, but there was always that underneath. It's like I laid in my bed all day and never got out. There was, good stuff happening, but
yeah. Wow. Yeah. And these are all coping mechanisms, I'm sure that.
Yeah.
Wow. You've got a strong constitution, lady. Sure. You got that from your mama.
Yeah. I have been told that I take after my mom. So So I never said in the
Nice.
beginning, I jumped right into how sick she was, but how she was known for she was vivacious and full of life, despite all of that, and just like a fun-loving, outgoing, friendly, loving woman.
Yeah.
Oh, and I remember that. She was a wonderful mom.
That's so great.
Yeah. Just
that
fun.
is amazing. Teresa, oh my God, I love you. I want to talk to
How
you for
long
like
we've
2
talked
hours.
already.
What the hell? I know.
Is that
it
like
goes
2
by so
questions? I think I answered 2 of your questions.
That's okay. I think they were the most, that's what I
That's
always
okay.
feel like it's the information that comes out is what people need.
Hopefully.
You know, oh God. I
Tell them
mean,
to call me.
not to be
Always
selfish, but I needed this today. So sorry if anybody else.
If you want to know anything else, just call me and I'll tell you what I don't know. What do you need to know?
God. So, I mean, it's sort of a sharp segue now, but I would love for you to tell us what you're up to now, because, you know, many people who are watching haven't been in touch in a little while. And so what's Teresa got going on in her life right now?
What does Teresa do? I run around in circles like a mad woman, but it's all good. No, and I do. I run around in circles in my neighborhood and do a lot of running and cycling. But I have 2 work projects right now. One is working with VR Pro races. So VR Pro puts on, well, no longer live events like the Chile Half Marathon and Santa races. And now that none of that is happening, all the races have gone virtual. So I've been working with our very small team and getting race kits out to people who want to sign up for virtual races. We created a really, really awesome Facebook group, which has been like one of the best things over the last few months, of positive people who needed something to hold on to during this time. So they're all part of this group. We post what we're up to. We encourage each other. It's like the happiest place on the internet, and everybody celebrates everybody. There's like almost zero negativity. People are struggling, we encourage them. People are celebrating, we celebrate and cheer along with them. It's pretty awesome. So, and now some of those virtual friends have become real friends, which has been amazing. So that's what I'm doing on that side of things. And I'm also working now with an organization called Dare to Be You, which has been around for a while. And they, Dare to Be You used to put on events, fundraising events, and that obviously has stopped as well. So in June, we worked on a little project. It's with a friend, and it's her organization that she started. And she asked me to help her do some communication stuff. She was trying to reach out to Walk Off the Earth to do grad videos for the grads for all their virtual commencements. So I helped her out with that. We got Walk Off the Earth to do grad messages for all the high schools in Burlington. And then we got like a little meet and greet with Sarah and Gianni after, which was really awesome. And we're working on a project right now, which I'm coordinating. It's called the Spotlight Project, and we're creating a publication, like a commemorative book of stories of grads from around Halton, and sort of their life in high school and how they graduated during a pandemic and some of the lessons they learned, like talking about mental health and mental wellness and resiliency. So we're creating that. And then Dare to Be You 2.0 is launching in January. So I am the manager of communications and outreach. And we're going to be offering workshops to 17 to 24-year-olds to inspire these young adults to change their communities and make the world a better place. Just no problem.
Yeah, no problem.
Working on those 2 things going forward. So.
Oh, Teresa, that's great. Well, if anybody can coordinate this and get these kids to make the world a better place, it's going to be you.
I don't know.
I know it.
I'll do my part.
You've already led by example. They just have to follow along. So, thanks, Teresa. Monica. You are so awesome. I'm so grateful that you were able to do this today.
I am too.
I love your energy. I love your story. You're just such a great human being, girl.
Thank you. And thank you for doing it at this time. I actually dropped my husband off at the hospital this morning. Don't worry. He's having shoulder surgery. And so
Oh,
that's
no.
probably happening right now. And this is a good distraction. I'm sure everything will be fine. And then I'll pick him up in a few hours, I guess, whenever I get the call. So this
Oh
is a
my
really great
gosh.
distraction for today.
Perfect. We timed that well.
Yeah. Well, he did, because when he told me the timing, I'm like, I have a call like at 1:00 that I have to be on. So it worked out. That's obviously hilarious. That was the priority, but yeah.
Wow. Okay, I have to share a funny story with you.
Okay.
This just reminds me of something. So this is years ago. I don't know, maybe 15 years ago. Wayne was doing some work upstairs and he was cutting the floor tiles with an X-Acto knife. Anyway, he cut the inside of his thigh very close to a very important area. Anyway, and it was like a chicken fillet, like open, like blood, so gross. Anyways, this is what he says to me. Oh my God, this just happened. I got to go to the hospital. I go, I'm sorry. I have an interview with the Moose FM in Bracebridge. And he had to drive himself. I'm the worst to the hospital.
That's amazing.
Leg together. But he said it was no problem. He goes, if you go into the ER with a bloody crotch, they're like all over you right away.
So it all turned out okay.
But yeah. We're business women. We don't have time to cater after our husband.
Surgery has been like in the books for like a month, like a year, months. I don't know, a long time. So.
Oh my God! Well, I hope he's okay.
It'll be fine. It just needed to get done. So.
Yeah, that's hilarious. Aw. Okay, Teresa. So I am inviting you to an Instagram after party after this.
Awesome.
So
I love a good party. Monica, you have the best parties.
Oh my God. Did you see the picture on the Instagram story of us?
Is it up there right now?
Yeah, you're going to have to share
that. That was when you turned 50.
It was. And your outfit, that was another thing. That's what we're going to talk about, your outfit in the Instagram after party.
That was pretty fun.
Okay, it was fantastic.
We'll move it over there.
All right. Love you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks for watching.
Oh my gosh, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Teresa is an incredible person, as you could see. And I hope that you benefited from this. It's, grief is a topic that isn't easy to always talk about and open up about. But you know what? I'm always open to the conversation. For anyone who's grieving and finding it hard, just reach out. I actually wrote a blog just last week about my own grief with losing my dad. And I think the more we share our stories and the more we're just honest with each other, the better, because it's not easy. I mean, it's something that's been going on since the beginning of time. People live, people die, but never easy. So always reach out, always talk. You can always talk to me. It's all good. Love you guys so much. Don't forget, if you want to get a snazzy outfit today, go to brendabedome.com. I will leave her information in the comments so you can go on her website. And please use the coupon code Get to Know Her, and Brenda will give you 13% off of your order. Take care, you guys. Enjoy the rest of this beautiful day, and we will see you again here next week on the Get to Know Her show. Bye for now.